Randy, welcome back to school. And I called Miss Payton to ask her if I could come here this morning with a visitor who's going to join us, AFT President Randy Weingart. And the first person I thought of when they asked me to find a school where the teachers are at the top of their game, I remembered Beers. We did our first book launch here. And I had to refer a teacher to a White House visit, early childhood teacher. I called Miss Payton after finding her number in a phone book at home on Sunday, and she referred at least 7 different teachers. And that says a lot about how she regards you. Awesome. And I know that this is a very good staff because I've heard wonderful things about you, and it's one of the reasons why we wanted to come here this morning. So welcome back to school. I'm looking forward to having Randy join us in a few minutes. But I also I'm happy that you had a chance to meet our new Chief of Staff, Dorothy Abenfor, who I had to actually go to Houston, Texas to find. But the union is about serving you and serving you well. And we need the best staff in order to do that. Dorothy has worked for the union before. I asked her if she would join us again. She was a professional development director. And it was one of the few years as a member of the union, and I have 44 years in, not 40. 44. In 9 schools in D.C., and I enjoyed every one of them.
Well, let's give it up for that.
I had this fabulous drum roll for Randy when she came in. We were just talking about some morning illnesses.
Yes.
But I'm so glad she's able to be here, and I know we're starved for time. I simply want to tell you that Randy has been an exquisite coach for me since I've taken this office, and she has opened AFT's coffers up to any resources we need, and we're taking advantage of all of them. I want to introduce you to the President of the American Federation of Teachers, one of the national leaders who have shown that teachers union ought to be solution-driven, that we come to the table with the answers and not just the problem. Without further ado, I give you Randy Weingart.
Let me just say, this is my hero. And the reason this is my hero, and then I just want to talk for a minute, and I'm sorry, I fell this week. And so I had to I couldn't move, and I had to actually take a bath this morning, so my apologies for being late. This is what happens when you get old, right? So, but this is why she's my hero. She saw that things were bad, and she said, I'm going to step up, and I'm going to do something about it. And then she said, just like probably every one of you, and I'm really pleased that the principal is here, thank you very much for having me here. And then she said, I know what I know, and I know what I don't know, and I'm going to get help wherever I can get help. I'm going to beg, borrow, and steal. And basically, essentially, the AFT is an open door to the WTU. Anything, I'm going to say this, I don't know if there's any cameras in the room, but I hope there is, because I'm going to say this to the cameras. I'm going to say this to the City of Washington, which is anything the WTU needs, AFT is going to do for it. This is, and you are, our sisters and brothers in this struggle with the WTU and the Washington District goes public education. And so I really wanted to get to a school today or this week as school opened in Washington to say that directly to you and to say that directly to my hero. All right. The other thing is, and then I'm going to stop because I know people have a couple of questions before we have to go. The other thing is this. You do this every morning. Not to get together, to think about what's going on with kids, to think about what the day is, to do professional development. You do what you need to do, hearts and souls, to try to help kids have a decent education and to try to help them prepare for life. Whether it's pre-K or whether it was, like I was, a 12th grade and 11th grade social studies teacher. The world is crazy right now. It's crazy for a bunch of reasons, but mostly it's crazy because people feel like the American dream is out of their grasp. And so the people who hate us have used things like 2 big wedge issues, due process and pensions, to try to wedge us from other working folk. And they do things like, and you know this, by the way, Michelle Reed is no longer involved in education. Only replaced by Campbell Brown. But we'll deal with that one too, because like you do every single day, you deal with everything. But this is what they do, and then I'll stop. Instead of actually helping us help create a ladder of opportunity, they do 5 things. They start the schools. They relentlessly criticize, public schools, excuse me. They relentlessly criticize them. They demonize you. They marginalize those who fight back. I have the ugliest pictures of me on earth in Times Square on a 5-story billboard. And they do all of this at the same time as they're trying to privatize or suppress democracy. The same thing that they're doing in terms of trying to take away tenure is what they do in terms of voting rights. Because that's the fight of the country right now. And they're relying on the fact that people are so unhappy with life that they're going to go to anybody who's angry and say, fight, 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 like the Tea Party. What we've tried to do in response is to actually do 2 things, which is we got to find common ground with parents and with community. When we find common ground with parents and community becomes our new density, community wins. So we have to find common ground. Doesn't mean we don't fight when we have to, but we have to find common ground. And we find common ground around the issues of how do we find the best practices and the best things to educate children. And every time we do that, I'm going to end with this, we win. This week in Detroit, powers that be tried to do another 10% pay cut. This week. And it's not as if the union, and they got rid of union dues and all this other stuff, even though people have still joined and stayed. The community came together. Churches, parents, teachers, at the same time as they were protesting this, still went to Saturday open houses to get kids into the public schools. So they were solution-driven, doing the things to make us better in terms of what we do, but still fighting the fight about poverty and equity and things like that. The community pressure was so great that the powers that be rescinded the 10% pay. When we are involved with community, when our members are really engaged, when we listen to the collective judgment of our members, but when we do the stuff that's right, as Liz said, in terms of being solution-driven, member mobilized, solution-driven, engage with community, that's how we turn things around. And we will be, and this is a really bad word to say, and there's a child here, so I'm not going to say it. It starts with B. It starts, first word is B. First word starts with B. Second word starts with A. So as we're solution-driven, as we're member mobilized, as we're community engaged, we also have to be a little B-A. Mary, I promise you, if we're all together, we will do that. Thank you very much.
All right.
Are you 2 sisters?
No.
You're good friends, aren't you? You're beginning to look alike, you know. Both of you are cute. What do you say?
Thank you.
And tell us why. Do you like 3rd grade too?
Yes,
And tell us why.
because it's fun. You get to learn a lot of stuff, and you can go back home and tell your mom, and you can
Tell her how smart you are. So I greater than anything that's ever happened to you. So you promise me you're not going to
yes,
okay? Promise?
yes.
Fantastic.
High five.
Okay, take care.
Thank you, ladies. At this time, please turn to your neighbor and share what you did with I Am Responsible. Share with your neighbor what I did with I Am Responsible.
Thank you for writing. And I wanted to say that your teacher, the writing skills that you're learning now, your teacher and I were in a writing course together so that we could learn how to teach writing to our students. And I'm impressed with what you all are doing here because writing
They've
is
done well for 3 days.
Yes.
Thank you. They have.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for letting us share. It's really hard the third day of school to have this entourage walk all in. So really thank you for sharing and thank you for volunteering when all of us were here. That's really, really hard and it was awesome that you did it. So I just wanted to say thank you and have a fantastic, awesome school year. You promise?
Yeah.
You promise?
Good job. Everybody kiss your brain for me, please. Thank you. Finish something for your neighbor.
Okay, I love that. Kiss your brain, huh?
Kiss your brain.